Welcome to You Are Your Name. My name is Daken Ariel, your host, and I have a special guest today, Laara Brown. She's one of our experienced cycle management training instructors and a very experienced presenter on Kabalarian Philosophy. Thanks for joining us, Laara.
Thank you for having me, Daken.
So today we thought we would discuss a relationship of cycles to health. Before we go right into the cycles and how it relates to health, we really need to talk about name itself, because that's the primary mechanism for creating mind. And so if you have a set of names that are creating mental tensions, then that tension is going to be reflected on your physical body, just because the mind is a vibration that permeates the whole body. And so we're effectively creating health problems through those mental tensions. And so the first principle of health is to look at cause. And we teach that the name is one of the fundamental causes of ill health because of the unbalanced mathematical qualities. So the reason you would want a balanced name is because then there is a direct connection to your universal potential, which was seated within you at your first breath. And now the mind, which is created by the name, allows that potential to flow through your mind and be expressed as constructive and positive energies or thoughts. If you have a balanced name, it doesn't guarantee that you're immune from destructive emotion. You have to still learn to control your emotions and channel them constructively through your mind and therefore through your life and through cycles. And so the cycles are another factor in influencing that vibration of thought, because every time you're in a particular cycle, that cycle is a vibration and you respond to it. If your mind is balanced, then it will express the constructive qualities that are the potential of the cycle. But if your mind is discordant in any way, then you're going to invariably express the negative qualities relative to that particular mental quality. So for instance, if you're in a one cycle, if your mind is balanced and positive, you're going to express that individuality, that originality, that creativity. But if your mind is tense, then you're going to express the dominance and that bluntness and that lack of empathy with others. So let's go right into cycles and how they are another aspect of how a mind responds to these energies of life. So Laara, what about the seeding cycles, the 1, 2, and 3? What are the health challenges that could arise in those cycles if our thinking is discordant?
It often manifests in head tension, could be in the eyes, the teeth, the sinuses, because that one has that quality of action, that desire to get things done. So that can create tension. And we often, in a one cycle, will find the extremities, the hands and feet, are affected. You come up too quickly and bump your head on the cupboard, or you stub your toe, or you cut your finger. Interesting, in the one cycle, we tend to like the plain but heavier foods. We find them most satisfying, that substantial quality. So that could aggravate any weakness. So in the one cycle, it's a good time to seed a healthier diet, because that will give us the vitality to plant those seeds. So then in the two cycle, whether it's a day, a month, or a year, we can be affected in the fluid functions, the glandular system. And we'll find that acid fruits can affect the urinary tract, the bladder, can cause kidney stones. And in the two cycle, we're just a little bit more sensitive to the extremes in temperature. So it's really important to drink lots of water, watch the diet so the kidneys aren't affected. And we should try to eat lightly, minimizing the sugars and starches, and to get more rest. It can be a sensitive period of time. We're just more susceptible to the environment. And in the three cycle, we tend to eat more because we're burning up a lot of energy. We're into so many things and we want to finish that. And, oh, that looks interesting. So we tend to go for the sweet foods, the sugary foods, the combination of hot and spicy foods are more appealing. But really, we desire that quick energy food, maybe the chocolate bars, the candy, the donuts, because we're working long hours, because you don't want to go to bed. There's just too much to do and it's so much fun. So through enthusiasm, we can tend to go and go. And this can cause problems with the skin and liver, blemishes perhaps, or biliousness. And we may suffer weakness in the wrists and the ankles.
That's an interesting point that the 1, 2, and 3 are the seeding cycles. So your diet, your thinking, your lifestyle, those are all seeds that you're planting in your life, and the fruition will come later on in the cycle. So if they're constructive, then you have the benefit of that positive effort during those seeding cycles. What about in the testing and proving cycles, the 4, 5, and 6?
In the 4, we tend to have a desire for heavier foods, what sticks to the ribs, the pasta, the bread, the potatoes. We really have to keep those channels of elimination clear, or there could be problems, boils, growth, constipation, problems relative to the intestinal tract. And it's really important in the 4 cycle, yes, it's a testing time, to keep our thinking up and positive in spite of testing conditions. Because sickness can show itself if there is an underlying weakness in the health. If we have been indulgent in our eating habits or under stressful conditions, the 4-year or day or month can bring things to a head. In the 5 cycle, we might tend to eat to excess those foods that we really, really enjoy. And that intensity of thinking that can manifest in the 5 can affect the stomach and the solar plexus area, which interferes with digestion. Perhaps a knot in the stomach. It's just like a gnawing. We think, well, gee, am I hungry? But really not. And it's best not to eat if there's any tension. So the key is the control of the intensity. And we learn in the philosophy about proper breathing and proper relaxation. You'll find that 5-ish children react to any tension in the home, any fighting. Parents will say, well, we never fight in the presence of our children, but it's in the home, it's in the environment. And so the child may develop colic, crying and crying and crying for no apparent reason. And the parents may not relate that to the turmoil or the unhappiness in the home environment. In the 6th cycle, we tend to have more moderate tastes in foods, both quantity and the type of food. It's often a healthier time unless the challenge of handling the mental pressures causes too much worry or perhaps indecisiveness.
It's interesting, the points that you made relative to the thinking pattern in the cycles are really what's creating the health problems, because each cycle, in a sense, emphasizes that particular quality. And if you live the negative side of that cycle, then the health problems rise up. But again, it always comes back to the name. What are the basic tensions created by the name in your life, which will impact the physical body? What about the 7, 8, and 9 cycles? They're our fruition period. What can we look for if there are health problems in those cycles?
That cycle, the 7, the body is sensitive and cannot be pushed too hard. Otherwise, we can be subject to a lack of vitality. Health challenges or problems can show in the heart, lung, and bronchial organs, perhaps a cold that goes deep into the chest. So that's why it's important to enjoy the beauty and relaxation of nature as much as possible during the 7 cycle. Draw on that peace and tranquility. You won't feel like being in the middle of a large group of people. Don't take the family to Disneyland in this cycle or go to the Stanley Cup playoffs of the FIFA World Cup series. In the 8th cycle, we're stronger physically. We have more endurance and we can work hard. Any weaknesses could show in the generative organs, prostate for the male or female problems for the ladies. So wherever the weaknesses are in that person's nature, it could show up in the 8th cycle. We tend to have the desire for richer, gourmet type foods, which again can cause challenges. In the 9th cycle, nervous tension can be caused by an intensity of emotion, perhaps temper or irritation or burning the candle at both ends. It's so easy for the 9 to get involved in a project and then lose track of time and just work through the night. And so that our nerves are shot. So in the ninth cycle, we need lots of rest and relaxation to maintain that balance. Just as a plant is in the resting phase where it's preparing for the seeding season, we don't have the same vitality. We should be building the strength and energy which will be required for the coming one cycle, whether it's a month, day, or year. And particularly in the year, the 9 year, people have found that if they have to work very hard in that 9 year just to hold things together, sometimes it may take them a couple of years before they start feeling that vitality again. And then they're unable to put forth the very best efforts in the seeding time of the 1 and the 2 cycle year.
The cycles themselves are not creating the health challenges. They really are, in a sense, the opportunity of the mind to master the quality of the cycle and live to its higher side. And when our thinking is discordant, or in some ways there's a tension, then it comes through our thinking and therefore affects our health. And then the cycle itself will show you where it will express.
The cycle can intensify or modify any health challenges that we may have, but we have to remember that it's the unbalanced name and the thinking pattern, as you said, and the lack of following the natural laws of life, right eating, right breathing, and right thinking.
Thank you, Laara. That's a very good summary. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you, Daken.
If you'd like to learn more about the Cyclic Law, you can download our free app, which is called Cycle Chart, on either the Android or Apple Store. Set up a free account. You can create an account with your email address or your Gmail or your Apple account or even your cell phone number. All you have to do is give it your month and date of birth, and it will configure your personal cycle information for a 5-month window. The current month plus 2 months in the future and 2 months in the past. So that should give you a chance to evaluate your cycles relative to the months, days, and years. So until then, happy thoughts.